Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review the 2012 remake of the 80s slasher, Maniac. I warned you not to go out tonight.
Directed by Franck Khalfoun, starring Elijah Wood, Nora Arnezeder, America Olivo, and Megan Duffy, Frank Zito, played by Elijah Wood, owns a mannequin shop where he does restoration. An artist sees his mannequins and wants to use them in an upcoming exhibition. He loans the mannequins to her because he's a generous guy, but what she doesn't know is he's also a maniac. This was actually a request from our top donator over on Patreon, Deke. And as the biggest donator, the Big D, he gets to choose what movie we review, and this month he chose Maniac. He's had some excellent recommendations, and he's got another one right here. So let's get into our likes. I really enjoyed Elijah Wood's performance in this movie because seeing him in this is just like such a different side of him, and he was great. I was totally convinced that he was a psychotic person or a maniac.
Majority of the film is just a POV, so you're only hearing what he's saying, and he's a very nervous wreck. He's always in a panic. He's unsure about himself. He's very timid, and I thought he did a great job. He was very believable, and I felt that he was a creepy maniac killer.
And even before watching it, you're like, okay, yeah, you could totally see Elijah Wood being some kind of creeper, and now is 100% confirmed. Like, if he was a serial killer for real, yeah, I know.
And this film wasn't light on its kills. It did a great job showing us all the kills, and it looked realistic. But the film starts off with a high impact death, and that just gets you off your seat and engaged in the film.
The special effects were done by Greg Nicotero, and they were awesome. I mean, the scalpings look real, but I was most impressed by like just some slices on a back. Like I thought somebody actually legit was getting sliced. Along with the POV shots, I liked just the cinematography in general. Even though it's from the point of view of Frank Zito, everything is framed correctly. There are long takes. Just everything looks really nice. And even the lighting, like there's some great lighting in this movie.
And to bring this whole setting home, we have Rob, who is our music composer. Amazing job. We have this great synthy soundtrack. It just added to the stockish feel that was going on.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. It reminded me a lot of something like Nightcrawler, if you guys remember that movie. The dark synthy tones just really get me. You know, like I'm always that much more into a movie if there's like dark shadows with synth vibes going on. This could have totally been a Giallo film if he had some like black gloves on. In general, I think the whole movie just feels too realistic, and I think that's what's gonna scare people.
Not only did Elijah Wood do a great job in this film, but his counterpart, Nora Arnezeder, who plays Anna, she just played this artistic character who you believed was just passionate with the art, and you felt for her. You felt the innocence, you felt the need to want her to survive, and she was just the perfect prize for Elijah Wood.
Without getting into spoilers, I really liked how the movie wrapped up. There's a very intense climax. I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate it, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it just worked well with the movie as it was.
I'm also giving props to Megan Duffy, who plays Lucy. She was gorgeous. From outfit to out of outfit, I loved every second with her in it.
We did have some nudity in this movie because, you know, girls are in certain situations while guys are creeping in lockers. So, you know, you're gonna catch girls naked. And we're glad that he did.
And impressive silking.
Yeah, oh yeah, the silking was excellent.
I've done it before, and it's not easy, I can tell you that. I have all respect in the world for anyone who does pole, silks, or rings. Damn, it's impossible.
Now let's move on to our dislikes. My major issue would be some of the pacing when it comes to some of the scenes. It's not like the pacing of the movie in general, but certain scenes are a little bit longer than they need to be because you're trying to get into the Elijah Wood stalking the prey. But sometimes it can be a little bit long-winded. I get that it's going for like more of a realistic aspect because obviously we don't want to have too many kills. We don't want to have too many victims. Because then it's less realistic, but at the same time, the stalking was a little dragged on.
It's kind of nitpicky with like the realism in the film. There wasn't any real consequences after like Elijah Wood killed someone. Like if he went and killed a random stranger and they went missing for a couple of weeks, it's like nothing was really traced to him, but the cops didn't get involved at all, which I found strange.
I'm pretty sure the cops would have looked at like the last chat log. It's pretty easy to connect point A and point B here because it's like, oh, you talked to this person, they went missing. Well, we're coming for you then. And it's been weeks, right? Like multiple people went missing in the same neighborhood surrounding the guy who last talked to that person. Yeah, he probably could have got caught. However, I've seen a lot of documentaries on Netflix where people living in the same town like never get caught, or like 30 years later.
Someone's not doing their job.
I agree. It's the cops. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Maniac is an excellent remake, and I'm glad that Elijah Wood played Frank because he did such a great job. He was very creepy, his acting was excellent, and the acting in general across the board was great. The special effects really helped sell like the kills. They were very intense, and the way that everything was shot really completed the atmosphere along with the incredible soundtrack, which is probably now in my top 10. I did have very minor pacing issues when it came from like a scene-to-scene basis because I thought some of the stalking went on a little bit too long, but that's not something that really affects my rating. So I'm gonna give this 4.5 cans of Raid out of 5.
Maniac is one of those remakes that can stand alone from the original. You can watch both and you can appreciate both. This film did have its similarities to its predecessor, but at the same time, it was its own take on the story. I loved all the characters. I thought Elijah Wood did an amazing job playing Frank. Each person that he interacted with, it felt real, it felt believable. We had great cinematography. We had a really creepy setting. There was so many moments where you're on the edge of your seat wondering when Elijah is going to kill one of his victims. The only issue I really have is just how the story develops, but it's still a very good film. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 4.5 creepy bubble baths out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't, there are links in the description where you can find it. And if you want to recommend a movie for us to review, definitely check out our Patreon rewards, also linked in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.